Okay guys, this is a coaching session for Zyra in Gold 5 on EUW. It's Misfortune Zyra against Jin Thresh. There's a few advantages here that the Zyra has over the Thresh, and if you're very good mechanically you can actually spawn a plant in front of Thresh to block a hook. So you have that ever so slight advantage there. Also the Thresh has a weird augment as well on the frozen augment. Can't remember exactly what it's called. My brain wanders off there. Glacial augment. So which means his auto attacks would get more slows. But that does mean that he hasn't got resolve primaries, so he's going to be particularly behind on defensive stats, especially with no aftershock here as well. So he's going to be behind here defensively. So if he does get called out, you're going to be doing a lot of damage to him. In terms of your team comp, you've got a lot of AoE in your team here, so I'd imagine your team fights should go in theory quite nicely if you force it down lanes as 5 later on into the mid game. A lot of AoE here, but the enemy team does have a few pick champions here as well. Jin ulti, Nocturnal and LeBlanc as well, so if you guys can survive laning phase, you have a very good chance of winning this game. So in terms of on the evaluation from that, you don't have to do too much on bot side. Just get it slowly through to mid game, and then you can work on your AoE team comps and stuff.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Basic defending. Ideally at 1 minute you want to move over to the red buff so you can get seeds up. Good. That's the fine pull as well. Yep, moving straight over, that's perfectly fine. So as I said, there's not too much you want to do in lane. You want to generally poke with Q to get mana flow stacks off and the gold income. Occasionally you can do an auto attack as well, maybe on the Thresh if he's picking up souls, you might get an extra bit of free damage there. Yeah, you could have auto attacked the Thresh there once or twice there, and again there, he had him there, good job. Just when he gets aggressive like that randomly you can in there. Good. Gotta be careful with the slight level advantage they've got, but Thresh is super low. I would personally go E level 2 here and try and maybe make a play in. There's too many minions here though to go super aggressive, and you've actually massively caught yourself out here. You're kind of lucky the Thresh isn't level 2 here, but this is pretty dangerous for you. You didn't technically need to flash that because it's quite deep in already. You did take E level 2. It wasn't worth it to get this ward brushed because you're going to be pushed in anyway. You could have just sat back, put a ward on your own brush here, and stayed back on the back side here. You just need to do your best to catch someone out with a grasping root, your E. Like E right here, for example, the Thresh should have got caught out there, and then it would have been auto attack plus a Q to get your electrocute off to get that extra little bit of damage out as well. Misfortune's doing good harassment, and you got 4 HP again now. You have no flash, so I can understand how you might be feeling a little bit scared about making a play here. But this Thresh is coming quite close into melee range, I think, to try and do auto attacks with the glacial augment, so you want to just try and get those roots in if you can. And if the root does miss, just immediately just back off. Okay, level 3. I think you need to still play it a little bit more aggressive than this now though. Oh, okay. Sitting back is okay, but you can play a little bit more aggressive than this. MF's kind of wandering away. Like here, for example. Okay, so here, for example, the Thresh is looking like he's showing his cards here straight away that he's playing super aggressive. Anyway, he was here for about 2 seconds before he queued in here. Try and always get your seed in front of the target that's about to get hooked, and then it will spawn the plant in front of the Thresh, and then it will block his Q, rather than doing it directly on the target. It is quite hard to pull off, but it is possible. It is nice seeing you do Q then W as well to get your to speed up that combo a little bit more. This is a very good E from you. I think you should just do auto attack and ignite here. That's fine too. Free flash. I think you can turn up the tempo in this lane now though. Just catch out one of them with the root. This Jhin, you were in quite a good position there. I'm just going to rewind it again here. If you find yourself quite close, like medium range from your E onto a target, you can usually get your root off. Like here for example, your root's on a 1 second cooldown. If you just had kept running in a straight line, you towards your minions here, you would have been able to get maybe a root off here with a W and a Q and an ignite maybe. Okay, this Thresh is a free kill. Once again, I want to see a little bit more priority on using your E rather than your Q first. When a target is right in your face like that, the target really does need to be rooted. Rather than that should be E first, EW, so to make sure that they're slowed down as well, so they can't get away. The Thresh has no flash as well. So that should be, that first should be E over to the Thresh. Ideally a seed right in between you and the Thresh as well to block any Qs that are going to come out here as well. And then it would be a Q to overlap and also ignite and run away. Okay, and you still have E at this point. I think you have to. There's a good chance you're going to die here. I would have personally just switched everything back onto the Jhin and used my, if my root was still up for this point for whatever reason, I would use it on the Jhin here and then try and attempt to get away. Use your like most powerful spell, especially when you're electrocute build. You kind of need to make sure that's your first spell on your rotation. You do finally get your E off. A couple of slowing plants do come out. This should be a kill for Misfortune. Okay. So you come back into lane with Frostfang and Boots, that's fine. Just be very careful here though. Misfortune isn't here and she will be back soon with the... with Strut. It's a little bit risky doing this. You do have boots, so with Thresh having no boots. I think just doing like max range QW poke, just to get a few GP5 stacks is fine. That was decent. Looks like Graves is trying to make a play here. I think it was just kind of risky here because he didn't know for sure that this wasn't warded at all. Like usually this brush would be warded in this situation here, so you're kind of lucky in this front. As soon as she gets cooked in here, I want to see a root, and then a W, and then a Q. Potentially a double root here as well. Let's slow it right down. E, I want you to see E, mashing E as quickly as you can. Okay, you did W and then E first. Ideally you want to do E then W first because the seeds will still spawn mid-cast, but it's a very good double root. Good. Nice. Just want to push this in as quickly as possible, and then you either do Drake or you go back and recall. Zyra can tank Mountain Drake pretty well. Each plant can tank on a Mountain Drake for an extremely long time here. So make sure you don't stack up the plants together because they do get cleaved. So now you want to do another WQ. You're doing it perfectly. Yeah. Mountain Drake is the easiest one for Zyra plants to tank because the auto attacks on the Mountain Drake are so slow. That's an okay panic E. I can understand why you did that. And you just need to get out now. You can't go towards mid because of the mid laner. It's too much to stay here though. Graves doesn't need your help to kill this. You really need to recall. It's a shame that plant didn't block the hook. It was very close though. Okay, if you are going to stay in here, then you need to be A, super safe, and B, you need to help push in this lane. Don't worry if you take CS here, this lane just needs resetting it straight away so that you guys can go back. I personally wouldn't be looking for a kill here, I would be looking for the next best opportunity to recall. Good harassment there on the Jhin with the electrocute poke as well with 2 seeds. Still, you're probably looking though to recall though. Unless they make a very bad mistake. It's a good route on the Jhin. But yeah, this is the problem with overstaying this long amount of time. Gotta be a little bit more careful than that ideally. You could just wait for like MF to hit 6 and then she could just ult wave clear kind of thing. Stuff's gonna be happening without you. I think at this point, when you know this has already happened, Graves, you should tell the Graves to wave clear this and push this in. If your mid laner was mid, you would want to try and consider ganking mid, but because your mid laner isn't actually mid, your next better course of action actually is to try and take down his tower. Misfortune still needs to back, but the Graves can help take this out, and you should be trying to tell your Graves to kill this tower. You did actually ping that bot tower, only once though. I think you can't stay now though. You can't stay. If Graves isn't going to help you push down this tower, I think you just got to let your Misfortune recall. What's the button, guys, again to see cash? Sorry, I've completely forgotten the key binding for that. X, thank you. Yeah, Misfortune is sitting on 1,600 gold. She just needs to go back and finish off the lethality. Duskar probably, I would assume, or the movement speed one. Good catch though, but like you got LeBlanc now coming down now because of the overextension. You probably are gonna die here. I would assume you would die here. Ignite, yeah. This is the overstay again. Okay. So twice it's been quite a big overstay here. It's okay that you call that the Jhin, but that was kind of bound to happen with the overextension there. You needed Graves in there to help you push in that tower there. Okay, what did you buy? You've got Frostfang, mobility boots, cloth armor. I mean, even though you are 035, your MF is still 5-1, and you're still going to be snowballing this quite hard. You don't want to start taking defensive things to slow down your snowball. I would personally like to see you go towards Oblivion Orb here. Or if you don't like going Oblivion Orb, which is fine, you can go towards Liandry's. In terms of mobility boots, mobility boots on Zyra is only going to pay off if you roam a lot, okay? If you're not going to roam much at all, then Sorcerer's Shoes are just way better, okay? But yeah, I don't like you seeing, I'm assuming you're going towards the Zhonya's. Maybe you're scared of Nocturne or the LeBlanc maybe, but I think because you're winning the laning phase pretty damn hard in general, apart from, you know, you got caught out twice, whatever. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I'd become more concerned about continuing the advantage for Misfortune here and getting down that bot tower. You got two options here right now. You either freeze it so that the Jhin's denied CS. You completely freeze it here, and then it gives you a chance to maybe roam around as well, because the Jhin isn't going to want to fight the MF with the KDA difference. Or you push it into tower and make tower your focus. Okay, since you're pushing in, you need to push in hard then. You need to be pushing a lot harder than this. If you're not going to freeze it, then this needs to be pushed into tower. not sure I like this movement here. Okay, this just needs to be constantly keep being pushed in then. Nice attempt at a catch there. Okay, Jin's already on 60% HP. You want to do max range harassment here. Nocturne could ult you. Q, but yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Just the Q tap. Okay. It's a good flash away. Good route over there as well. An ulti. Perfect. I would have liked to see this ult slightly higher up as well to A, hit this plant here, and also to dissuade the Thresh from coming in properly here as well, and he might get clipped by some free damage as well. Oh, the plant did get clipped by that still. Nice. Kind of generous there on the ulti. On the ulti radius there. Okay, once again, you don't need to recall here. You need to help de-push this. I hope you don't fully recall here. Okay, good. It's safe to E the casted minions as well. Don't worry about taking CS, and also if you just do an E here across here anyway, it's going to get these minions slightly lower HP, so it gives MF a better chance of getting a Q kill on a minion to then it ricochet to the enemy. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Not sure what's going on. You're kind of like AFK is a tad there. MF needs you here for now. Just a lot of plants. Okay, Graves is coming in now. You're a little bit far behind here. You accidentally attack a caster minion there, which takes you out of, which negates your movie boots. You could, in theory, push in this tower. You definitely need to push in the minions at least anyway, so that Misfortune can go back and buy again. Yeah, you definitely need to help out this Graves now. I don't... yeah, you can chase because Ori's pincing in. Okay, go back to down the bot side, means pushing those minions. Helping here is fine too, but resetting the bot wave would have been nice as well. Your main focus has got to be going back now though. You've got no mana and Misfortune's just recoiled. You want to go back and pair up with her. You don't need to help kill the Scuttle with auto attacks, you really don't. You took the cash. Nice. Support attacks. Doesn't mean MF's are alone here. So you do go Oblivion Orb, so you do stop going in Zhonya's, which is nice to see. It's a shame you did buy the components of Zhonya's though quite early. So there's a little bit of wasted gold there. With the cloth armor at least anyway. Still use that tome to buy a haunting, guys. One thing that has happened with the lack of incentive to go for this tower, the enemy does actually get first tower. The Darius does get solo gold as well. So you have given the team an extra little bit amount of gold here when you could have had done things a little bit better to try and get this tower first on it for your team. So bear that in mind. Nice attempt to try and stop in the root come through, but you've got ulti here, so the Thresh should just get wrecked. Yeah. You're so far ahead now, it doesn't matter if you get caught out by something basic as that compared to the Thresh because he's so squishy. Your main thing is now is not to throw the game. We talked about how earlier your team's got a very good team comp, so if you just focus on making sure you do the objectives, always think about what the next easy objective is. So you got the tier 1 bot tower down, that's great. Now you need to start thinking about tier 1 top and mid and Herald and buying a crap ton more control wards. You bought 1, that's okay. Would like to see maybe ideally 2, but that's okay. You've got mid tower here. Okay, so first thing I would do when coming up through this mid lane like you have right now, if this tower's just got knocked down here or is down, always put a ward here. Otherwise, if this tower's up, you want to bring it over to around about here, just so you can see where the mid lane rotations are happening. So you can see if they're going to come down to panic, go down to bot, or back panic, go to the top kind of thing as well. So once you've done that as one of your 1 wards, then you want to start setting up. It looks like you're going to get top tower. Maybe, maybe not. You do know do you know the LeBunks there? I don't think you do yet. But you need to start setting up vision through this brush here. With a normal ward, Herald needs a control ward. And the last ward, it doesn't really matter too much where you put it, but maybe after warding the Herald, you want to rotate to top side as well to help take this tier 1 top. When you're warding this brush here as well, you want to do a W in the bush as well, just to get vision of it, quick vision of it, and then just throw down a Q as well, so your plant can have some extra vision there as well, just to make sure you're safe when putting a ward here. Because the last thing you want to do is just get caught out, which would just suck. Yeah, see, I wouldn't have put in that control ward there, because even if, say for example, you die in the next team fight, there's going to be no vision secured here for the Herald, so it's going to be less chance of your team doing it, even if they win the next team fight. Since you're so deep in the jungle as well, you could have warded twice here. And so what I've noticed is that a lot of supporters in lower elo they don't ward as they move. You just walk past the tri brush and this brush here, and these brushes are really nice to get wards, because A, if you die here later on, you got nice deeper vision inside their base. But secondly, it's good to know if safe escape path as well, in case you get massively caught out as well. It's nice to know that you got safe passageway coming through in certain routes, because then if you see like an enemies here, for example, where my cursor is, it means that you can't go through this way through the tri brush. You have to take a longer route around to maybe escape. So try warding as you're moving as well on those rotations as well. I think this is just unlucky that you got out. I think you should use Flash earlier though. That Phage on the Darius is going to get you caught out. If you had flashed earlier, you wouldn't have been in this long situation here. Route's fine, you got to be careful though of the Orianna ulti though. Maybe bringing the Darius back into you though. That wasn't really your fault, apart from maybe not flashing sooner. But once again, you've got no mana again. Just go back, recall, buy another control ward, get the... Shame you get caught out there. If I were you, I'd go back, recall, get another control ward, and just get the next easy objective to take would be the Herald. The next Drake to spawn is a Cloud Drake. So hopefully, ideally, you'd buy like two Drakes for yourself. And 2 control wards for the Drake and the Herald. Set those up. And then just start thinking about how to use the Herald to finish off the game. And this is in the ideal scenario. And Zyra can solo the Herald quite effectively. Baron just spawned, I just noticed. The timer was up on there. Yeah. But it wasn't paying attention to the timer on the clock. Yeah, it's just a little bit of urgency right over those objectives. Like, you could have had first tower earlier probably. You should have taken the Herald maybe sooner as well, because of you would have had the bot tower down sooner, so you would have had the Herald take opportunity. And especially when you're so far ahead in the game as well, as with 2 Mountain Drakes as well. It would have been a really quick kill as well. So yeah, just a little bit more urgency on identifying what the objective is, and then and doing it a little bit sooner, or encouraging your team to do it a little bit sooner. Because it would have shaved off a couple minutes, and then that would have been a Herald. But at least you do get the Drake. Would like to see you with a control ward here though. Decided to finish off a couple of items on the Zhonya's instead of having some control wards, which is a shame. You gotta save your ulti here for in case they full collapse and engage. You could even use your ulti here to wave clear minions. Okay, I would be very careful about following this up. You are 3v5 after all, but you do have ultis up. What's your position here? You might, if you can land a root here, you follow up. If you miss, just leave it. A Jhin flash. You have to ult here and then back out if you can. Good. You need, honestly, stop walking out though. You threw out an auto attack instead of walking out. It still could be dangerous. And okay, now your next concern is that Jhin. Okay, he hasn't got his ult. If he had his ult, he would use it here. Is to peel off for this misfortune. Now your priority is to get to tower. Yeah. Kind of lucky you guys got 2 kills even from that. But yeah. Be very, very careful about following up engages when you're 2 people or 3 in a 3v5 situation. Okay. You died? Okay, whatever, that's fine. Next easiest objective is either going to be like a tier 2 or Baron. Now, controlling a team to do as a support to do a tier 2 tower is extremely difficult, even in all heroes. The thing that's easiest for you as a support, especially Zyra, is Baron. You want to identify, see if you can maybe duo it, maybe, or with 3 people, maybe sneak it in through that way. That could be a possibility. Or you can just set up traps in the jungle. Now you can ask your team to buy extra controls as well. There's plenty of free slots on your team, but whether they buy it or not, that's, you know, it's RNG. But you want to get make sure you get this pit needs control warding, definitely, and then you want to set up the wards appropriately around, and then you want to try and get your team's attention around that. And suggest in chat to maybe make a trap or something. Yeah, your team was kind of messing around in the jungle of the enemy. You haven't got your ulti up, so following this up anymore could be a little bit dangerous. Unlucky you missed your route. I would back off from here though. Just ping your team back. You haven't got a jungler to do Baron here. Okay, you're gonna have to try and help follow this on up if he does go all in here. Okay, what you can do here, once again you need a ward in the mid lane here to see rotations, especially if you want to consider doing Baron at some point, because it will give you a really good indication if they're pushing up your minions up here, and then if they come over to the Baron to phase check it. Okay, MF's called out. Okay, stop. Okay, so the only thing you can do right now, don't look for kills here. Just push in this minion wave here, so it deters them from being able to take your tier 1 tower. So that's literally the only thing you can do right now, and then maybe set up wards the Baron. Ignore these 2. Ignore these 2 jokers. Just push it in this wave, and then go set up Baron. Yeah, a little bit more urgency once again of the Baron being set up, but they should not getting called out. Good route here. Have you got ulti? Ulti should have been used there, but at least it was a kill. Once again, a ward here would be great for rotations, and you haven't got another control ward for the Baron. Nocturne's bot side, you want to shove in this top tier 2 as hard as you can. You might better go for tier 3 as well. You wanna... Okay, pause. You have your ulti, you do have a Zhonya's on you, and you do have flash. When you're pushing in for a tier 2 tower, if you haven't used your control ward yet, there's 2 things you should do. Well, okay, say if you've got a control ward in your bag right now, you should make sure your flanks are safe. As I said, we've identified at the start of the game that they are a pit comp. So the worst thing that could happen is obviously them coming in to pick you off. Have your flanks covered. So you should have had a control here. It's like maybe if you didn't already put it down at Baron already, get one on this bush here. So that covers your left side, and then you just put a normal ward here. Okay, you don't need to overextend into this brush or anything like that. Just put it here, because then you see people if they're coming through here, or over there, or maybe over the wall, and then try and sneak in something that way. Okay, Your flanks need to be better warded when you're pushing in hard for a tier 2 tower. It's the same in any of the tier 2 towers. You need to make sure you get your flanks covered, and also you should be using everything. As soon as LeBlanc goes on you, use everything as quickly as you can. Even flash maybe could also save you there. Gonna speed it up here because you're not involved in this fight. Your team does manage to take inhib. So now for sure the next objective is Baron. You do finally pick up some more control wards. It's better late than never, right? These control wards needs to be planted though. No. It has to be planted, because if you die, for example, in a team fight, say you get caught out, whatever, your team is unlikely to be, they're not, your team's not even carrying control wards, so it's unlikely that your team carries control wards anyway. So they haven't got one for the Baron, so you need to put one down for the Baron pit. You have to. I know you've already checked it with an Oracle, but you have to anyway, because they could just put wards down over at any time. Do you manage to take it safely though? Luckily. But there's no excuse as a support to be holding onto 2 controllers and not warding the Baron pit. It's the same for this dragon coming up. Even though you're fairly confident that it's a safe take, you gotta shove your control with that. Just going to mitigate any risk possible. Baron steals are what changes games. Or can change games. Once again, I would have probably used ult there on the Darius, just to get him killed as quickly as possible. So he's probably one of the biggest threats on that enemy team. Nothing to know there. That's, you know, what, used a couple of his spells. That's fine. You go for the win. Ideally, you're the only one hitting the Nexus here. Don't chase, just hit the Nexus. Okay, let's go and do a quick overview of what happened and what some suggestions. So, early in the laning phase, do your best to use root first over prioritizing using Q. There were a couple of situations in the laning phase where you should have definitely have used E first instead of Q. You need to make sure you prioritize your CC them as much as possible, especially against some of us with a skill shot as well. You want to make sure you get a seed in between you, or in between the hook and the target, ideally if possible. I noticed you did try. It did seem like you were trying to do it a couple of times later on, after about 10 minutes. But try and do that a little bit more during the laning phase. It is difficult, but it is a good mechanic to learn how to do on Zyra. I'm not too big. I can understand why you take the Zhonya's here because of the double assassins. I don't agree with this game picking it up like partially during the laning phase instead of just getting Oblivion Orb a little bit quicker. You did buy a cloth armor which slowed it down. I'm not sure about the Moby Boots. I don't really think the Moby Boots have helped you at all in this game. Moby Boots on Zyra means that like you're gonna roam a lot. You're sacrificing a fair chunk of damage, about 10% at least of your damage, for extra mobility. But there's two things with that. Plants keep you in combat for a very long time, and B, you have to roam around a lot for it to pay off. They are quite cheap boots, but you do need to roam a hell of a lot for it to pay off. This is why I don't take Moby Boots on Zyra. I'd rather have that raw damage in lane with the Oblivion Orb combined to make the plays that way. So Moby Boots isn't necessarily wrong, but you need to make sure that you use them effectively, otherwise it's just a wasted item basically. I think picking up the Zhonya's it is fine after the Oblivion Orb. It's just, it's a personal preference pick, right? There's nothing wrong with taking the Zhonya's when they've got double assassin on their team, and if they focus you a lot, it can save you in a situation or two for sure. Just don't pick up the cloth armor like first item though. I wouldn't recommend that. Warding in general needs improving, so control wards need to be used on the actual objectives, especially Baron and the dragons. You need to have a couple more control walls on yourself. And also don't forget to ward as you're roaming as well. That instance roaming from top as well. You should have planted probably a couple more wards there just to get some easy deep vision there as well. I think in general, I think you got a fair good idea of what you're doing on Zyra. I just think macro just needs slightly tweaking and improved. And slightly better on the combos if possible, so making sure you obviously do E first. And also, yes, sometimes it can suck to use your ulti so early on, but someone as risky as Darius and holding off your ulti and sometimes and not even using it at all, there was a couple of times where he almost got away. So that's something to bear in mind. Like, yes, saving ult for more than one person can generally be worth it, but if the target that is on your face is one of their best players on their team, it's more than fine to make sure that they die rather than escape on no HP. Other than that, because it was a victory, there isn't too much more we can go into. There were you did get caught out by a couple of hooks and things like that, and by another thing is make it as well. Actually, when you're pushing in those tier 2 towers, and just try and make sure you got your flanks secured, okay? Because it is quite risky, and especially against assassins as well. But generally, I think this wasn't a particularly too hard game. I think all your lanes were generally winning as well. It seemed to at least felt like that anyway. And bot side particularly, you guys got a lot of kills with the Graves as well. Hopefully a few of those tips help you out. That should help you push into, I think, high gold. I think quite quickly and quite easily if you just if you are sticking with Zyra, because you seem to have, as I said, a decent idea on Zyra. It's just macro, and usually, to be honest, most of the time when I'm watching giving coaching sessions, it's largely to do with macro. So just think about a few of those things that I've said there, and try and utilize that in your games. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that coaching session. You'll be able to find us on my YouTube channel in a couple of days, and always doing coaching sessions for you guys on Discord as well.